Hey, hello, this is Joey J. Ping here checking in live, respectmyregion.com. We're here on episode 146 of the Respect My Region RMR podcast on the RMR Podcast Network, everybody. Today we've got Emily, the general manager of Ruckus Recreational. They are a two-store dispensary. I'm not going to quite call it a chain, but a two-store dispensary group slash operators. They got two locations. Your location is in Capitol Hill, still, right? It's the OG location. And then
Totally.
you guys have the one over in Fremont, which we just threw our event next to
Yes.
at the end of last month. And so, Emily, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the show. How you living today? Happy Teriyaki Thursday, as I like to
It
say.
is Teriyaki Thursday. Yes. Yeah. Thank you
Yes.
so much for having me. Super excited to be on.
No, of course, of course. It's funny, like, we think, I think of Seattle cannabis and I think of downtown Seattle. I think of my medical experience. I think of waiting in parking lots buying weed from my
Yeah.
friends when I think of a lot of my old Seattle weed experiences. And I parked countless times outside of your guys' Capitol Hill location. I've obviously been to your guys' Big Dog Whale competitor. I've been to their location. I've been to all the different groups that are all over Seattle just to investigate. It was so fun back in the day, Emily, going to so many of these different stores. And it still is fun because even though there's a lot of the same products at these locations, I think now all these different groups are kind of taking a page out of Ruckus's book by carrying things that not everybody else has, or at least they're trying to do that. You guys were always trying to do that.
Yes. That's definitely a big part of what we like to do is have all the kind of small boutique like brands in our store.
Hmm.
Yeah. Keep it small and fresh.
I
We
don't
love it.
remember. I don't. Obviously, your guys' menu now is probably so different compared to what it was when I lived there 6 and 7 years ago. But I remember there being, obviously there's the edibles and these all these different categories of products that every store has to carry. But I just remember there being a much different pace at your store, a much different tempo. And I feel like one thing that's big about Ruckus is a lot of brands try to say they're community centric, but you guys actually put yourselves in specific neighborhoods that are really, really about community and their local culture. For you, Emily, how long have you been with the company and how important is culture to Ruckus, whether it's when you started or now or whatever that looks like for you?
Yeah. I've been with Ruckus a year and a half now.
Hmm.
And my first day, that was one of the biggest things I realized is we are like a central part of Capitol Hill where it's very diverse. And that's one of the biggest things that Ruckus is, I think, known for too, is everybody could come in and feel welcome. You're going to have the same
Hmm.
experience no matter who you are, no matter how old you are. We just, everybody is in there for a different purpose, but at the end of the day, they leave with the same experience. And that's a big thing for us for sure.
Now, today, we're going to get to know you a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about Ruckus. We're going
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about some of the brands you carry, some of your guys' relationships. And I
Yeah.
think it's important to also share a little, as much as we can, about Seattle culture, specifically Seattle cannabis culture, or even just Seattle community culture in general. And
Yeah.
so, Emily, Ruckus, I know
Mhm.
you mentioned offline the owner, he's been around the block a little bit there. He's been around for a while in cannabis in this adult use rec space. Can you talk to us a little bit about how him, whoever, maybe if there's any partners or that, just give us some clarity on if someone's going to go buy from Ruckus, who are they buying from as people? Because I feel like that's super important in Seattle is putting our money in companies that are run by good operators, good humans. I think
Right.
that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, our owner, he is the sole owner of the store, both stores, and then his daughter and his son both help with the operations.
Hmm.
And so that's honestly one of the greatest things for me is working for such a great family. They care so much about their employees and so much about our safety, our happiness, our work-life balance, and then of course the culture of cannabis too. They're a Seattle family. They grew up here. And I know that's a really big thing for them is keeping Ruckus true to what they opened it up for, which was bringing the community together and making sure everybody has accessible, both affordable, but also both high end cannabis.
I think it's a balance, right? Because
It
Seattle
is.
has affordable. There's Seattle has one of the largest wage gaps out there in the country, and
Yeah.
so it's important for us to make sure that we are meeting our customers, aka our community, where they're at. And in Seattle, you could have the gentrification skyscrapers with a penthouse on top, and he could be shopping and buying weed and joints and edibles, right?
Yeah.
Because of the high stressed corporate jobs that exist there at Amazon and all these other technology companies. But you can also too just have your regular person, your regular local mom, parent, whatever it is that's been living in these areas, and now that prices have gone up, it's
Yeah.
hard for them to still be able to deal with the inflation in general, the cost of living rising all over the place, specifically in metropolitan cities like Seattle, and then go in and still then pay exorbitant prices on cannabis. It's hard to balance that the medical community aspect of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's definitely something we've been trying really hard to get a good balance of is offering affordable things that
Hmm.
people really have the access to, but also the high-end things that, like you said, there is people that want to come in and spend 60, 70, $80 on a gram of rosin, but we also have those $7 dabs that, if you're
Hey
that
man, you know
like
what I always say about $7 dabs, Emily? I always say those are the kind that you roll up and smoke.
it sure is. I
Ah,
a
come
little
on, man, come on, and shout out to we got the homie Catherine Sidman over here. Big shout out to the homie Miggy on YouTube, the homie Catherine here on LinkedIn, tuning in here, and shout out to the Halo Cannabis. Yeah, the Halo is a great brand there in Washington State.
yeah,
They've got their CO2 extraction, a lot of their PAX pods, their different vapes that they do. That's a great company.
yeah,
Emily, as a woman in the cannabis space, let's talk a little bit about some women brands in Washington. I know that's a little bit lacking. Halo is one of them, right?
yep.
But there's not very many women-owned brands. Could you maybe share any of the women-owned brands that come to mind? Because I can think of Halo and Craft Elixirs, but
Yes,
my list really ends after that because I can't sit here and remember it. Is Trailblazing still around? That
they
that
are. They are, yes.
okay. So I
We
remember.
have
So
had
those
that.
three are the three that I'm thinking of most.
Yeah, Volcano's also another great one that they
Yes, I don't know why I didn't remember them. They've got that new product line out there called Dough, right?
yes,
Deux. That's
mhm,
beautiful. What a beautiful packaging and the creativity of the different birds. And wow,
definitely. Yeah,
phenomenal.
we sell a ton of Volcano. That might be one of our
I
highest
think
selling.
that's one. I think when I was thinking earlier about brands, remember how I said you guys carried things other people didn't really carry? It
Yeah,
was like when I think of Seattle, people that were setting trends that wasn't so much Jungle Boys, cookies, or whatever, the kind of stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that. I buy that too. But
right.
I very distinctly slash vaguely remember buying Falcana from you guys.
Yes,
I feel like I could always get that from you guys.
we have a great relationship with them, and I've heard that from customers that we are one of the few places that they could come in and find like the entire setup. We have so
Yeah. The other group that I'm thinking, and a shout out to another OG, but Dockside. They are also very medical community.
totally.
They've even got their museum at a location. There's so much culture that goes into these places,
Yeah.
and it's helpful for you guys to bring some of that culture and clarity to us too as well. Emily, how did you get into cannabis? And also too, do you know how Sam and them got into it? Obviously, they're like local and family, but how did both of you all get into cannabis? How did your paths intertwine?
So I got into cannabis because once upon a time I was a flight attendant, and then COVID hit, and I was furloughed from the company.
Oh
And
wow.
okay, well, where do I pivot now? I was living in San Francisco at the time, well, like in the Bay Area, and decided to get into cannabis. Became a bud tender, and then quickly
Mm,
up and became a GM of one of the stores there. And
wow.
that's actually how I met my husband too. Was through that store, which is
Let's
cool.
go.
And then we love Seattle. We visited here once, absolutely fell in love with it, and decided to move here like 2 years after that.
Where
So
from originally?
originally Ohio, which also,
Ohio! Good old
yep,
Buckeye State. Let's go.
oh,
National champs.
yeah. What's that?
National champs too. Come
Yeah,
on, reigning. Let's go.
Ohio.
No, that's
But
cool. And Ohio's got a cannabis industry that's booming. That's starting to boom too.
yeah,
Pretty dope to see that you weren't one of the individuals that came here and then went back.
yeah,
It's dope to see that you found a home there and been able to build a life there. We think about with Ruckus. Um, why the second location? Why the Fremont location of all places? That store had been passed around from Have a Heart to I think another group that's Peace of Mind was it, and then you guys. So that location has history, has a loyal base of buyers. Me even being one of them, running about a decade.
yeah.
Um, what was the thought process you think behind getting that location, and what is the culture like for you guys over there? Is it a successful store? Are you guys seeing growth out there? Can you provide some clarity in those areas?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the growth for both stores is definitely happening. I think it's such a great location because there's so many people just walking around.
Mm,
Fremont is definitely its own entity, I think, in my head. And the crew there too. A lot of the night crew has been there and has been, immersed in the whole Fremont culture in general. So it's really nice to see that that store is doing well, and yeah, things are definitely picking up.
Absolutely. No, it's cool to hear that as well. And shout out to the cameo here behind the gentleman behind me, the gentleman who owns the house. Um, the that neighborhood of Fremont is one of my favorite areas of Seattle. Like far by far, super fun. The music venues up and down the block, the wedding venues behind across the street and down into that parking lot area, the walkway and the river there, all the different food, that pizza spot with pool. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a really wonderful block. And shout out to LTD Bar and Grill, your guys' neighbors across the street too, for being just super cannabis friendly and being down to host the community. I've been hanging out there reviewing Happy Apples and a bunch of other stuff and eating tater tots for since 2017, and so it was super cool to go back there and pop into your guys' store and buy a bunch of flour and bring it over to our party. Man, just big shout out to Ruckus. You guys are the OGs. Emily, we talk about favorite brands all the time. We talk about the best often. Like I'm into sports power ranking. Shout out the Raiders being at the bottom of that usually. Now, as as we were talking to a little bit, before, sports is a big part of my life. Raiders, it's basketball season. It's playoff basketball season.
yeah,
If someone were to come in from a Cali or an Oregon and they were just, yo, I only buy the best. Those guys that come in and they're the big talkers and the big
yeah,
spenders, or at least they act like it, right?
yeah.
What's that starting five at
Start
your
five.
store for?
Okay,
We could let's do a combination of just flour and like rosin or dabs, because I feel like that's what those talkers. They're
yeah,
always buying dabs and rosin and these heady products, but they're always like, oh, yo, I need that indoor, I need that living soil, organic, clean green, whatever it is, right? So
totally.
give me what your starting five, Emily. What's the bangers that Ruckus has?
Starting five, I would say Cookie Jar Cannabis.
Let them know.
I
Bellingham, let's go.
love them. I love Scored. I think they're another really great brand that we have in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Mark is one of our recent things.
What? Mad Mark making the list? Let's
Yes.
go.
Our buyer, Sarah, has worked very hard to get a lot of great brands in, and Mad Mark was one of the brands that we were very excited to get. I would say up there too, Gold Leaf. We love Gold Leaf,
Gold Leaf Gardens, OGs.
absolutely.
Grown
Um,
with Aloha.
and recently we got Bacon Spuds in the store, which
Bacon's Buds.
I'm very excited about. Yeah,
It's another Bellingham group, I believe, yeah?
yeah. So they're great. And then rosin. Ooh, there's so many. I love Fugu Farms recently.
Mm,
I think Knott's has been one of our biggest, like for the past year and a half that I've been here at least, we've sold the most Knott's in terms
wow.
of rosin. It's
Shout
been
out to homies Knots. That's my old roommate, and then another homie from Eastern Washington. So big shout out to Knots, Jared, and Lewis and the team there. Uh, Ryan, all the guys over that squad. That's cool, man. But Knots doing it big. That affordable rosin and also some high end drops. I've been
yeah.
told.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
And then I do have to shout out Plaid Jacket as well. They're one of
yeah.
our friends at this point for sure. We have
I'm gonna go so far as to say this, and this is me speaking, not you guys. But when I have bought Plaid Jacket, I have not been impressed. I've been disappointed every time. So
okay.
I encourage Plaid Jacket to reach out to change our mind. If you
Yeah,
care, we would love to support you guys. When you are a premium top shelf product,
yeah,
we had questions. I went and bought the weed myself. I have not elected to purchase it again.
yeah.
So I would love to be introduced to some of their strains, because across the state, Plaid Jacket is consistently and honestly described as one of the top in the state. And
Yeah.
that's just mildly concerning based on the two jars that I've purchased.
Have you tried their disposables and stuff? I would say those sell faster for us than their flour for sure.
I have not, because when I come into the state, I'm trying to buy an ounce of flour, four, five, six, eight different eights kind of thing to try whatever's the hottest. I already come traveling from California with vapes, as most people do. We travel with our vapes,
Yeah.
and so I don't, as a tourist, I don't tend to go in there and do that. But I can definitely I will reconsider that when I go back next time, and definitely look into that, because I consistently get told that they are one of the top. It's usually by bud tenders, which means that that's what they have access to, I feel like, versus customers. In my YouTube homies comments, I have not heard it from a lot of customers, but I do hear it from bud tenders, which is an interesting thing to think about. Now, so we've named some really great rosin brands. Now let's switch, because
Mhm.
it's important. Vapes do sell a lot.
Totally.
Vapes move a lot of units, Emily. Who are your top vape brands, both either in your opinion, times what is kind of booming at the store?
Fire Bros, we can't keep it on the
Let
shelves.
them know. They're
Yeah,
OGs, man. They're kind of goaded in Washington, to be
they are.
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, honestly, with flour too, we across the board, all of Fire Bros products just fly off our shelves for sure.
Mm.
I also really just respect Fire Bros because they had their old hardware of their devices, and then they got a new hardware. Some people liked it, some people didn't. So they have both hardwares now. So we have both back in our store, and that's been actually really nice because you have the options.
Yeah.
It's
I
both,
always say, man, if I can go buy Coca-Cola or Gatorade in a couple different sizes of bottles, what the hell are these vape companies doing not giving it to me in multiple types and sizes? I
true.
don't just
Yeah,
want whatever you think is best, guys. I want what I like too. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like that's
yeah.
important. And
And
oh,
listen,
Joey, you're not the general customer. Do you even buy distillate vapes? You know who buys distillate vapes? My mom. You know who buys
yeah,
it? People that I know, and
yeah,
they listen to me for those recommendations, folks. So it's when you are the guy in your circle or in your network or your community that knows weed or lady or whoever,
yeah,
like people go to you for these recommendations, and if you're only operating one type and they don't like that type, or you're a guy and you're making recommendations for somebody else, like come on, man. You think we all just want white ceramic tip vapes, or we
right.
all want all metal this, or we only want quartz that? Like, yo, if you're a vape brand, consider making things in multiples. I understand minimums, I understand tariffs now. Been getting lots of explanations about tariffs and how that's going to impact cannabis and all these different supply chains. But all
Yeah,
of these decisions were made before the tariffs. Let's
yeah.
just be also keep it 100% real. All of these hardware choices were made before. So I applaud and have big respect to Firebros for giving us options. I have not heard outside of like half gram versus full gram. I haven't heard of it varying, you know what I mean? Or 1 gram versus half gram versus just on the disposable side. It's always the same stuff. Give me two different things. Now, okay, let me circle back. That's the end of my rant.
No, that was good.
Now, now, Emily, you as a consumer,
Mhm.
you try all these products. These are personal recommendations as well as performative ones.
Definitely, yeah.
Man,
I,
that's
I, you know how it goes. If the bud tenders like something, it usually does well in the
of
store.
course, of
Yeah,
course. But we all know that bud tender turnover is an issue. So I want to chat a little bit about the culture of Ruckus because I put in the description that I feel like you guys are community first. Whether I don't, engaging with you, I get that same vibe. However, only a year and a half, 2 years into it, Ruckus has been around for a while. And
yeah,
so there's that to maintain culture has to come from leadership down. So
yeah.
what do you describe the culture as, and what do you guys hope the customers and your community actually describes the culture as, or do you see that kind of feedback, or do you get feedback on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Lately we've had such great feedback on both of our stores, really, but especially our Capitol Hill store. We've had a solid team now for at least 6 months.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's been great. We have a very small team, but everybody's very committed and everybody is very into cannabis, which is
Mm.
great. It's hard to do that if you have people who are just in it for the wrong reasons. But all of our employees right now they just love cannabis. So it's so great to see. And I think the customers really feel that too. And I think one of the biggest things too is people seeing the same friendly faces over and over again. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to build rapport to some
yeah,
degree, and let's be real. A lot of times, retail, you go to Ross, you might get the security guard saying hello, but I'd never been talked to by an employee at Ross.
yeah,
Very, very rarely at a J.C. Penney or any mall store. They just come up and engage once and kind of let you do whatever. And I don't need to be handheld, but it's nice to just be friendly and
yeah,
be offered help, I guess.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
like, it's just that human engagement. And I always felt like your guys' store was less, it's less get in line and wait and then hurry. Like it's get it, man. I hate going to a dispensary where I have to get in line, wait, and then I'm rushed at
yeah.
the point of sale. And
That
that is every dispensary in the top 10 in Washington's experience,
Yeah, that's hard. That's the opposite of what we want. We don't want
right?
to feel like, they don't have the time or
I
the
don't
ex
want to feel like I'm waiting in line to get parking at Trader Joe's. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yes,
And then
exactly.
I'm waiting in line in the store to pay. And then I'm waiting in line just to look at the apples. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I hate that stuff.
Yeah,
I understand that those dispensaries make a lot of money in that grocery outlet, grocery model, if you would, or whatever. But it definitely deteriorates the experience. And I tend to only bargain shop at those places versus like regular shop, to be
yeah.
real.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I wish we could see how many people that shop in our store like live in the neighborhood and walk there. I should
mhm.
take a tally of that because it feels like we have so many regulars that we see almost every day, at least walking by.
Yeah.
They'll come in, say hi with their dog, and then come get a pre-roll, and it's great because we have so many good relationships with people that it makes it feel like we're just like a coffee store that also happens to have weed.
Now, Emily, we're about halfway through the episode now, so I want to just take a brief moment because I did a terrible job of shouting out my sponsor for this episode at the beginning.
Yes.
So I want to shout out the sponsor. Our sponsor today, everybody, is Trees. Trees.io for more information. E-commerce, point of sale, data analytics, payments, white glove help. So many retailers out there talk about wanting to grow their revenue, but yet they constantly make bad decisions over time, consistently bad over time, and there's not really a way to help them identify that they're making mistakes. It's a lot of yes people at the table, and Trees is able to help coach, coordinate, strategize, and then obviously the data analytics and technology stack to really help that. And so big shout out to our sponsor, Trees. And big shout out to their support of our RMR across the country. Now, Emily, circling back to you guys, technology is a huge part of Seattle. I remember working at Microsoft, and that was during the Pokemon Go phase, and everyone's running around on their phone with their face down, and
Yeah.
they're going into traffic, and they're like fake throwing Pokeballs at people and stuff like that. You know, you guys have a very specific experience, and because of that, you have to communicate consistently. You have to build rapport over time with people. There's a certain type of store experience you've communicated that you guys are trying to consistently deliver, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys handle education meets this THC issue?
Mm,
Because Washington is a legacy market. I get told all the time by the industry, by smokers, no, we don't care about THC. We do this, we do that. And then I see them on their stories or I watch, and it's the same behavior of this drop came out, it's high THC, the brands run through the testing labs deliver these numbers. How important is high THC in the state of Washington? What are the trends you're seeing? Can you just kind of cover the state of that crisis, if you would? Because
yeah,
THC does not
it is.
define great weed,
Right, absolutely.
right?
And
So,
you see that with definitely some of our highest selling and in my opinion our best flower has 15 to 16% THC. But you are
wow.
have the best experience, over something that maybe has 30% THC. And we definitely do have those customers that come in looking for those high percentages and are very, just like I only want something 30 or higher, 30 or
We're
higher.
so set, they're dead set that it
Yeah,
works, that it won't work otherwise. One
yes.
degree, 1% will is like it
Right.
just won't
So
work.
it's really finding that balance of, we're not here to completely change people's minds or argue with people or make them think that we're belittling them in any way. So we definitely have that conversation with a lot of customers that hey, it's not all about the THC. The other cannabinoids and the terpenes that are here are going to make you have an amazing experience. Some people believe it and they want to try something. Other people are like, no, I still want that 30%. So that's why we do have that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Curating the menu's got to be a balance, and as you were saying,
yeah,
your guys' buyer Sarah, it's this delicate balance of numbers, price point, wants, demands, and then you got all these slots you got to fill because you need product types,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Different kinds of things. What is the most innovative product you've ever seen in Washington since you've been there?
That's a great question.
Is it the women's items? Is it the drinks? Is there any beverages that stood out? Is there a crazy joint that was just like, oh my gosh? Was there remember Mad Mark had the bong ounces, right?
Yes,
To me,
yeah.
that might be it.
Oh yeah, we recently had one of his half ounce ones like that, and that was really cool. It sold very quickly. I would say like somebody who's doing it very well is actually Cormorant, the sorbets.
Mm-mm.
You can't keep
Those
those.
are delicious.
Yeah, super affordable too, and even during the
Yeah, they're
winter.
like $9 or something like that. They're super
Yeah,
cheap.
amazing. That's been really great because I think we're the only one on the hill as well with the sorbets.
Yeah.
So that's been something that, especially people from out of state, they're very wowed by that.
Everybody wants
Those,
ice cream, and I actually don't want an ice cream with weed. I want the sorbets with the fruits and the flavors.
definitely.
I love that. I that paired with the joint. Oh my gosh, such
Yeah,
experience. Okay,
agree.
so someone flies into Seattle, or I'm
Yeah,
sorry, someone flies into SeaTac, right? That's the real reality. And they got to trek up to Seattle to specifically fight through traffic, get through all the Seattle drama and noise to just to get to the beautiful area that you guys are at. Now, cannabis Capitol Hill, Cannabis Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is a very artistic place. Music, arts, diversity. It's people friendly. It's
yeah.
inclusive, right? It's
Mhm.
a safe space, right?
Great.
What has it been like for you guys um, connecting with the community on those kinds of things? Are you involved with the arts? Are you involved with the local creatives or with the town or the city or however that works there in Capitol Hill? What is that like for you guys?
Yeah. Have you heard of the punk rock flea market?
I have not because I don't live there anymore, but please do
Okay.
tell more because that sounds dope.
Yeah, that was one of our main things last year that we had a great relationship with them.
Cool.
Just cross promoting each other really. And they were just right across the street from us. And they have a bunch of vendors, a bunch of local artists that get to come in, set
Because
up.
Seattle U's right by you guys too, right? Isn't that the university that's right up there on the hill next to you guys?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another great thing. But we do have a community board in our store that we allow anybody to post any, events that they're having,
Nice.
or if they have links to anything that they just want to share with the community in general. And that's really great because it's our customers. These artists are mostly our customers, and
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
want to connect with the community. So it's really amazing.
I mean, we're in the midst of the first month of Q2,
Yeah.
right? Is there anything recent that you guys just did? I know 420. Happy 420, by the way. It's 420
Funny.
week.
Yes.
Happy 420, everybody. Woo, 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 woo. I got a fat joint over here that I cannot light because the lighter's dead. Shout out me. Broke the party rule number one. What do you guys have coming up for 420? What do you guys got going on after 420?
420, we're so excited. We have quite a few things happening. We have, of course, a lot of discounts going on. And then we also have Impeccable Food Truck. Shout out to them. They're going to be coming and setting up shop over by our entrance almost.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be there throughout 420. We also have Petty Snacks, not a snack company, but they are a really cool comic brand. And they have some stuff in Zoomies, some
Cool.
backpacks, different cannabis accessories. They're also going to be coming and just hanging out. They have some cornhole that's going to be on the sidewalk. So it's really
Nice.
cool. We're just kind of making it a party. One of our employees, he's our inventory manager. He's also a DJ, and
Nice.
he's going to be setting up a DJ stand, have some music playing. It's just going to be really good vibes. So
That's
we're
super cool. Yeah, that's a perfect example right there. You're engaging right there with local food, a local artist slash staff member, and then a creative group that literally sells through Zoomies and stuff too. Which
yeah,
also, too, man, shout out to Zoomies for showing love to the local brands out of Seattle and Washington because their Zoomies is based out of there and everything. So it's just dope to be able to have that come full circle. Cannabis transcends the industry of cannabis. It transcends people and culture. It has been found across so many different. I believe it on every continent, if I'm not mistaken. I won't speak to Antarctica though. I don't know if these polar bears or I don't know if these polar bears are taking dabs. They're definitely going to be low temp, if anything. Hopefully, someone laughed
super
at
low temp.
that. Hey, now, okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Now, I want to circle back to some of these brands. I want to circle back to some of the stuff inside the store. You
Yeah.
think about edibles, right? I mentioned earlier craft elixirs. That's my all-time favorite. I always include that one on the national scene for one of the best of the best. Not enough people go up to Washington because there's all these other legal states now, so they don't
Yeah.
really get to experience craft elixirs the way that they should. That little piece of fruit.
It's so heavenly.
Mm.
It really is.
Oh my gosh, they just don't get it, Emily. These people don't
They
understand. I introduced my lady to the sleep ones. I brought those back recently with the blueberry ones. Absolutely phenomenal. But this isn't about just craft elixirs. Who are the other starting five edibles in Washington, in your opinion, in your store or in your not in your store?
definitely Journeyman. Smokies
Mm.
is another one.
Well, those are brands. What product are you thinking from them?
Exact. Okay, for sure. So the new, actually, I have it in my fridge right now. The Journeyman hash rosin shots are impeccable.
Is it from
They're
a hitting standpoint, or is the flavor taste good?
hitting. I mean, the flavor's good too. But yeah, I would say the flavor compared to some other hash rosin shots I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely
Hash
does.
rosin shots and beverages can be a little tough on the terpene cannabinoid balance in the beverage stuff. But
Yeah.
if you're saying that that isn't going to make me gag and it's going to smack, then I'm with that.
No, no gagging with this. You could just shoot it, or I mixed it into a little seltzer the other night, and I was
Hey,
on. It was
let's
great.
go. Let's go. Okay, so what you said, the journeyman hash elixirs?
The hash shots for sure.
Hash
Those are
shot.
brand. So they're Journeyman overall. Everybody loves them. They're definitely one of our
Yeah, they
highest.
make a bunch of different products.
Yeah, definitely. I would say right now, though, just overall, anything with other cannabinoids. People really do want to see the CBG. They want to see the CBC. If they're trying to go to
Do
bed,
you
they want.
know what it even means yet, or what it does?
I think they do with the help of our bud tenders. Truly, we
Let's
have
go.
staff that flower is definitely like our highest selling category, but right next to that is honestly the edibles. It's such a hot commodity, obviously for everybody, but especially like the working adults that just want to take one before their tech job or whatever you have. So Yeah, I think the added cannabinoids, like CBG especially, I would say is one of our hottest items for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love to hear that too. As I was saying, I bought that blueberry 10
Hmm.
sleep gummy, 10 milligram THC, 10 milligram CBD, 10 milligram CBN, and I
Yeah,
find that eating half of those each night, I'll sleep that perfect 4 to 6 hours and wake up so refreshed. And
definitely.
if I choose to eat like another half a bite, then I'll sleep that full 8, which I don't need to sleep a full 8. Um,
Good for
so
you.
I mean, after eating those, wake up so refreshed. Like
Yeah.
I struggle with sleep because of pain. Like even standing here right now, just there's just a general pain in the mid to lower back, and it's like it does decrease a little bit when you lay down, but you think like I need to get that inflammation to just relax, and it's hard to get that to sustain over time, especially when you like smoke and dab and have a tolerance like that. Is a difficult situation to be in. Now, um, one of the biggest categories that doesn't sell that many units is the health and wellness, and it's frustrating because sleep 70+% of people use cannabis for sleep, but they
Yeah.
don't buy the health and wellness products for the sleep. They end up buying gummies and they end up smoking for it, right? Those are just two more popular options. In terms of Washington, there's Fairwinds and there's Green Revolution. Is that still around?
Yeah, we
Are
have
there
those.
other groups that do tinctures, topicals, and the and health and wellness items, or are those still the two big dogs?
Those are definitely our two biggest dogs. Series too. They have some great
Oh
products.
yeah, series. They're still around with the C, right?
Yes, totally. We
Mm.
have a good amount of their tinctures actually. Same thing, Sarah decided to bring on just more of their cannabinoid, varieties so that people have those options.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cool stuff right now that they're adding, even some, like people are doing the melatonin, like adding
Oh,
chamomile.
dude. The
Oh my God.
I'll take the chamomile, but the melatonin gives me inception dreams. It
Oh,
actually it kicked off like I even without taking melatonin, I occasionally still have the dream, and it's like because of
oh.
melatonin, I even have that dream in the first place.
Yeah, no, no, thank you then.
It's crazy. It's like just like Inception 2. It's like a town. It's like a city on like a hill. I
Yeah,
just keep going in different circles through this town, and it's like different stories and rooms, and I find myself in these situations that are really like
scary.
sometimes, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say scary, but just you can feel they feel really real.
Yeah.
And so one time I was actually woke up and I was nervous that I killed somebody. It was really crazy. So I
Gosh.
just never took melatonin again after that because if that made me feel like that, which obviously I would never do it, it would be like that shit would probably make someone crazy do something crazy. You know what I
Let's
mean?
try again.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, Emily, we've had a great conversation today. I really appreciate you for joining. Now, I want to wrap things up with what you guys have coming up post 420.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you the floor to promote or talk about anything that's really important to you, whether it's Ruckus or you individually. I want to make sure I share the platform with you. And so, first and foremost, what do you guys got coming up besides 420?
So we are actually in the process of also getting an app, which is going to be super exciting
Cool.
to, make that process easier if you want to get our app and then just order online, check out the menu. We've really been dialing in our menu, making sure the percentages are up there, making sure everything is accurate. Because I feel like that's one of the hardest things in dispensaries just across multiple states is their online menu is not what it needs to be.
Oh my god, it's so
Yeah.
frustrating too, dude. My uncle went and bought weed yesterday. Shout out to my uncle for the
Okay.
first time in 25 years, and I'm texting him. I go, hey, he goes, hey, have you ever been to this dispensary in Santa Cruz? And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll look at their menu real quick. You gonna go there? He's like, yeah. And I was like, bro, you're gonna buy weed and smoke for the first time in our years. So he went in and they're like getting on him because he's on his phone and you're not supposed to be on the phone when you're in these dispensaries because they
Oh,
can't check the who's 21 plus that he's talking to. So I'm
yeah.
like FaceTime it and stick me on FaceTime, right, or whatever. He doesn't do it. So I just get photos and then we end up getting him sleep gummies from Wild, which
Nice.
the boysenberry sleeps, those are classic. I get him some strawberry gummies which had 20 to 1 CBD to THC. He
Nice.
complains that he goes to work and he gets off work and he can't even walk or do anything. So I was like, cool, let's get him high CBD. And if you hurt early in the morning when you're at the beginning of your shift, pop 2 of those gummies. You're not about to get high. 2 milligrams of THC ain't about to do nothing to you. You're like 250 pounds. You're chilling. So, like in theory, right? In theory,
Right.
obviously, it's all different for everybody. But he's my family, so I figured it might be something similar. Now,
Uh,
he ends up going. Get this, Emily. He bought some flowers, 16% THC, 14% CBD from a
wow.
greenhouse grow out in Santa Barbara area. The
Nice.
fact that that even exists
Yeah,
so glorious in the first place.
that's
And
dope.
then, but I say all this because I'm looking this stuff up on their menu. This bud tender at this dispensary could
Yeah.
not find the stuff that was on his menu and was at first told us that it was not there. And
Oh,
so there is a disconnect between
yeah,
menu and in store, and creating that has got to be improved. And I'm excited for you guys because when you have an app, you have the menu, the website, it
yeah,
tends to be multiple touch points of validity to where, oh, it's showing on that too. Okay, great. Yeah, let me grab that for you real quick. I just got to find it.
yeah.
Versus I was straight up told, no, it's not here,
Oh, yeah.
which
See,
was so crazy. I literally was like, yo, is your menu not accurate? Because I know it's streaming live from your inventory.
I'm
Like,
like looking at it right here.
like,
Yeah,
come on, there's no way for it to be wrong. You are, in fact, the human. Let's get it together, right? And so, shout out to one, humans always probably going to needing to be involved into this whole equation
yeah.
for people to want a positive experience. And two, technology does help, but we cannot rely on it 100%. We do have to rely on it, but not 100%. There's always going to be this integration. And so,
Yeah.
Emily, the floor is yours. What do you have to promote coming up? I'm sorry. What do you want to chat about? Is there anything you want to make bring awareness to?
Definitely, yeah. So definitely that app coming up. We're also going to be redoing our Capitol Hill store.
Ooh, facelift, face.
So we're gonna have a big grand reopening. I will definitely be posting on our socials when that does happen. And yeah, we did up our 9 o'clock to 11:45 deal to 35% off the whole store. We used to
Wow.
do that from 8 to 10 in the morning. Now we're also doing it late at night. So it just kind of, caters to all of our customers, whether you're an early riser or you're late up, a little night owl. We just want to
Yeah,
make
I
sure.
need that. I tend to go buy weed at like 9:45.
Yes, yeah. Well, you would definitely be very excited then because we're doing
Let's
that.
go.
Yeah, I'm just super excited. We have such a solid crew right now. Our buyer is just very integrated into the culture, and she's really serious about making sure everything is fresh, top of the line. We don't want anything sitting over really like a month. So if you're coming in our store, you're going to get fresh flower. You're going to get a good experience with our bud tenders, and yeah,
Absolutely wonderful, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you, Emily, and it's so excited for you guys to be able to have that makeover at the store. Super excited for you guys to start making some more extra moolah through the app. And that also too for those of your consumers, it's not just about the money; it's about a seamless experience. We
exactly.
want you have the app, you're sitting there, you want weed, you go on the app, you set it, you look through their menu, it's gonna be accurate and live.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna be able to do a pickup straight from there. The whole process becomes seamless. Is that app gonna allow them to have a wallet too? Is that gonna be one of the things as well?
Yeah, you're going to be able to see your points and stuff, which is great. Our point system is pretty awesome. And yeah, like you said, we just want to streamline the entire experience. So if you don't want to talk to anybody because you're too high, you can just order it and have it picked up. And then if you do want to talk to people, we're also working on making sure that we might have like a little like consultation area where if you do want to spend that more time and ask more like deeper, more involved questions with somebody, you don't have to feel rushed at all because we'll have two other lines where you could just quickly get in and out. So
Yeah, hit me with that express, man. I need that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
play for clear. I need that clear kind of access. You know what I'm saying? That ruckus plus, as they say.
exactly.
Emily, it's been fun, man. I appreciate
It's
you for rocking with me on this. Your energy's been great. Thank you for almost supporting our show last month. That was so close, but I went and bought weed from you, so you guys did support. And I met a gentleman there that night that was so wonderful and educated about weed. That's when I texted you and was like, oh my gosh, everything is going so wonderful right now. And so I just really appreciate your overall vibe and energy and doing this with me. This is Seattle culture, baby. We coming together. We talking about brands. Big shout out to Andrew over here on LinkedIn. Shout out to Experience Organics XO. They've been around for a while as well. Super dope brand. It's all about just helping other people, and I appreciate what you do in your space and to build these relationships and to get creative there on 420 and beyond. And so, Emily, thank you again. Big shout out to our sponsor as well, Trees, for today's episode, TREEZ. .io for more information, everybody. If you guys are a retailer, you're trying to make more money, you got to go with Trees. I mean, Washington, I understand the point of sale isn't there for Trees, but I hear nothing but complaints about the rest of the stuff. So reach out if you need it. Hit me up if you don't got it and you want it. I'll tap in with y'all. I'm Joey J. Ping. That's Emily.
thank
Ruckus Recreational Dispensary, available in Fremont, available in Capitol Hill. Make sure you guys Google both locations, leave reviews after you visit, and take advantage of that 35% discount available between.
8 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning, and then 9 p.m. to 11:45 every night.
Boom! That's
Yeah.
4.5 hours at least to get discounts, 35% off, man. Make sure y'all tap in. I love you guys. Emily, thank you again. Shout out
Thank
to
you.
Ruckus. Big shout out to Sam for the culture one time, and Cap Hill and Washington State. I love